Hello and welcome to another episode of my skill system series. In the last episode we added our casting animation to our skills and also already made it so that when you hit F7 to cast the Flame Nova, you will see a little particle effect and a collision volume appearing. What we are going to do today is we will add a casting bar that will tell you which spell you are casting and how long that is going to take. And we will also make it so that the time that it takes to cast the spell is defined by the casting time, which you can then modify in every individual stage of your spell. So for example, you could say that at the second stage a spell is casted in half amount of its original time. Let's start with designing our casting bar. So let's go to our widgets, main widget. And here let's add an overlay to the canvas panel, which we will just call casting overlay or something like that, and make that a variable. Set the z order to 1. We will anchor it to the lowest center here. We set the position x and y to 0, then alignment in x to 0.5 and in y to 1, and then we will tweak the size, maybe 500 in x and 40 in y should be okay. Also, the visibility should be set to hidden by default, since we only need to show that when we actually start casting a spell. Then on top of our overlay, let's start with the progress bar. Just call that casting bar. And we will set that to fill. Let's also expand the background image here and get that a slightly darker tint. Maybe something like that, almost black. And set the percent to 0.5 so we can see something. Maybe also let's darken the fill color and opacity. Yeah, something like that should work. Alright, then we will add a horizontal box to our casting overlay. Let's also make that fill. And in there we will add a text that we will call casted spell text. And make sure that it's set to be a variable. The default text can be something like casting ... and we will replace that with the name of the actual spell we are casting. Let's set that to align center in both dimensions here. Decrease the size to 18 maybe and make that italic. Also give it a padding of 5 pixels to the left. And we will give it an opaque shadow. Then we will add another text to our horizontal box, and that will be the casting or just cast time text. Make that a variable as well, padding of 5 to the left. We will set this to fill. The default text can be something like 5.0 / 10.0, and we can leave the font settings like they are. Justification will be center, and let's also make the shadow here opaque. Alright, compile and save. Then we can close our main widget, and instead we will go to our blueprints, skill actors, and to the master skill. First, let's make it so that the length of our skill animation is defined by our casting time. To do that, we will open up the play animation macro that we created, and off of the in play rate we can drag and drop that on our input node here, so it will add a pin to that called in play rate. Can remove the in, just call it play rate. And what we need to do here is adjust the delay. So when we get a play rate, we need to divide our sequence length by the in play rate to get the new duration. Then plug that in for the delay. Alright. Then let's go back to our event graph. Actually close that macro. And in our onSpellCast event, we need to figure out a play rate. Let's quickly go back into our macro and expand the play rate. We will set the default value to 1.0 And to figure out what that will be, we need to get our current stage, break that, and we only want to see the casting time, so we can remove all of the other pins. And let's maybe actually move our event to another place where we got more space. So what we need to do here, get the sequence length of our skill animation, and we want to divide that by the casting time to get our play rate. That way the animation will always take as many seconds to play as defined in our casting time. Now we actually want to show our casting bar when we cast a spell, and we will use a timeline for that. So let's add a timeline, call that casting timeline. Just leave it like that, maybe move it to the side somewhere, because there is a bunch of stuff we need to do before that. First, let's get our player reference that we have, get the main widget, and we want to first get the casted spell text, and let's set text of that. Here for the in text we will use a format, and the format will be casting, then hit spacebar, and in curly brackets type in spell name. To get our spell name, just drag in the skill info, break that, and only show the name. Then connect that. Alright, so that's set. Afterwards, off of the main widget again, let's get our casting bar, and we will reset the percent. So set percent to 0. Then we can also get the casting or cast time text and set its text. Again, we need to use a format for that. And since we're just starting the animation here, that will be 0.0, then hit spacebar, slash, another spacebar, and in curly brackets the cast time. We can get the cast time from our break skill stage, but let's convert that to text first. And here let's expand it, uncheck use grouping, and the maximum fractional digits will be 1. Then plug that in for our cast time. After we did that, let's expand our components, drag in the casting, not the cooldown timeline, and set length of that to the casting time. And after we did that, we can get the casting overlay, set visibility to hit test invisible, so we can see that, but our mouse won't hit it. And after we did all of that, we can play our casting timeline from start. And now we need to worry about what happens when it updates. First off, let's copy over our player reference and main widget, get the casting bar, set percent. To figure out our percent, we will just get the casting timeline, get its playback position, so the time that it has already played, divide that by another float, and again get our skill stage, or get current stage, break it, only show the casting time, and plug that in here, then connect it up to the in percent. So our bar is updated. Now we also need to get the cast time text and update that, so set text. We need to use a format again, so format text. This will be in curly brackets current time, then a blank space, slash, another blank space, and in curly brackets cast time. For our current time, let's just get the playback position, convert that to a text, Again, uncheck use grouping and 1 fractional digit. Let's also set the minimum fractional digit to 1. So we will always have 1. Then copy it, paste it, connect the first one to current time, second one to cast time, and connect the casting time float to the value. Also go back to first time we set the cast time text. Here we also want to set the minimum fractional digit to 1. Then we can collapse that pile and save. The only thing we need to do now is when it's completed playing, we just want to get our overlay again and set its visibility back to hidden. So set visibility, select hidden, and connect that up here. And now when we compile and save, we should already be able to test this. So if we hit F7, you see our casting bar of 1.5 seconds or 1.4 seconds. And what you can actually do now is, if you want to adjust the time it takes to play the animation, just go into the skill Flame Nova, and for example we could set that to say 4 seconds. If we play now, that will take a lot longer. The animation is really slow now, and we can see our casting bar filling up slowly. Alright, that's it for this video. In the next one we will handle reorganizing our skills so that you can actually drag and drop them to other hotkeys. So, see you in the next episode.